a lot of times people just articulate these things, but they don't put it in writing. They don't document it. So to me, the financial plan too would be a good way to keep track. A year from now, is your advisor doing their job? 2 years from now, 5 years from now?
There's that old saying that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So you need a plan that's nimble and can move as life changes. The unfortunate thing about our job is we do deal a lot with death. Like when we build a financial plan, we plan for worst case and hope for best case.
All right, I'm excited to discuss today with you, Robert. What's the difference of investment management and wealth management?
Well, let's start with the first one, investment management. It's just like it sounds. It's advisors that invest your money in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, maybe more expensive commission-based products like annuities or other types of life insurance. In this way of investing, it tends to be higher commissions. It's
Which
more,
way, the investment
the
management?
investment management.
Okay.
Yeah, I just want to stick with that one. It tends to be higher commissions. It tends to be more transactional based versus relationship based. Sometimes they may build a plan. A lot of times they don't, a financial plan to understand your goals and your needs.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'd say that's it. Yeah.
Do you have to be licensed to be an investment manager, or can I just get my GED and become an investment manager? How does this work?
I love that question. You can get your GED. You could even have a criminal background and do some of that. You should, but you do not have to be licensed to be an investment manager. Okay. So it's very important that you do a background check, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, but a background check on all your financial advisors, which the government has already done for you.
Sure. It seems like to me when I hear about people having a bad experience with a financial advisor, and they did get tricked into that commission or product or proprietor or some random thing happened, it happens on the investment management side as opposed to from a wealth manager. What are some things that you need to be aware of or to keep your eye open so you're not tricked by an investment manager, lack of better word, tricked, but you don't do something you end up regretting?
I would say while you're interviewing the investment manager, see what's important to them, right? What are they trying to discover? Are they trying to figure out what's important to Glen's wife, Glen's family? Are they just already pitching products that they get immediate commissions on, right? And it doesn't matter if you fire them in 6 months or a year. They're just worried about their own pocketbook. If you start to get that feeling, it comes back to that old saying, where there's smoke, there's fire. So trust your gut instinct, but do your homework.
But wealth managers, they're not nonprofits. They're making a living too. What's the difference?
Different strategy, different philosophy, also different accreditations, right? We talked about how investment managers don't have to have certain licenses. Wealth managers do. A couple of accreditations you want to make sure, or licenses you want to make sure that they have, is Series 7, Series 66, 65, 63. If you really want to know that you're doing your due diligence right, look for a CFP who's a fee-only fiduciary. And how do you find this out? How do you find out if they have these accreditations or if they've ever had any type of background issues?
Sure.
As I mentioned a second ago, the government's done it for you. All you have to do is Google broker check.
Or ChatGPT, right?
Well, I don't know about ChatGPT. I haven't jumped on that one yet. But you can Google it and Google broker check. And the first site that'll pop up is brokercheck.finra.org.
Okay.
Type in the advisor, the firm they're with, and you'll find out real quick if they are licensed, how long they've been licensed, what firms they've worked at, if they've hopped around. But you'll find out more important things. Have they ever been sued by a client? And if so, how many times? Other things you could find out, because people think that our U4 securities license is all about business.
Sure.
No. And in our industry, nothing's secret. If you've gotten a DUI, if you filed bankruptcy, if you've been arrested for whatever, I don't even want to give examples on that one, but you've been arrested, that can show up on your U4. And so that's in the FINRA website. Now, some advisors, especially fee-only fiduciaries, are registered with the SEC. So if you're on the FINRA website, there's a link below that has the SEC website. Click on that. You can do the same diagnostic, the same report on every advisor you're looking at.
So it seems like investment managers don't do a ton of financial planning, and wealth managers do a lot of financial planning.
So let me break it down. Well, let's pull back the curtain a little bit. Less than half of wealth managers out there today, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, less than half of them do some form of financial planning. And I use some form loosely. There are basic Google calculators out there. People always talk about, well, my 401k has a calculator. Okay, they're pretty basic. So less than half of advisors out there do the basic form of financial planning, but they're not all created equal. We've been doing this going on 20 years now. And I know you, as well as I, have seen dozens of financial planning software. Out of all the ones we've seen, only half of them look at tax strategies and are sophisticated enough to change or updates as tax laws change.
Oh, wow.
That's vitally important,
Sure.
especially in today's world.
Sure.
Only 3 of those look at Social Security. So you can, and what do I mean by that? Right? Back in the day, before we had this technology, people would ask us, clients would ask, when should I take Social Security? Well, you can either do back of the napkin math or you can just pick a date. We have programs today that are only in a handful of the plans we've seen that can show a client every age they could take Social Security,
Okay.
which gives them the biggest payout at the end of their life. And then on top of that, it even does the math, because the next question after we say, hey, maybe it makes sense for a client to wait till 70. So the next question they're going to ask is, yeah, but if I wait till 70, what do you think it is? How long do I need to live?
Break
What's that
even.
break even?
Yeah.
Right? So we're able to also show them, ink on paper, if you live to X number of years, then it would make more sense. Let's say in your case, if I say, Glenn, if you wait to take Social Security at age 70,
Okay.
then if your break even is 78, what this means is for every year you live past the age of 78, it made more sense for you to wait till 70 to take your Social Security. Now, we're the CFO, client's the CEO, right? Our job as fiduciaries is to give the clients the information. Now, we could tell them to take Social Security at age 70. Doesn't mean they have to do it. It's just our job to present the numbers,
Sure.
right? Maybe they don't trust the government. We don't have to get into that conversation today. Maybe they don't think it's going to be there. But the point is have some type of software that shows you the numbers so you're making at least an educated decision. With that, let's go to the number one expense in retirement that people are not prepared for: healthcare. And it's shocking that me personally, I've only seen it in 2 plans. The programs that are designed so if a person retires before the age of 65, why 65? Why am I bringing that up? That's when Medicare kicks in. So if a person retires before the age of 65, they have to go get healthcare out on the street, right?
Sure.
Well, they're under the age of 65, they don't have Medicare, so that cost is going to be a lot more expensive. Well, our programs can show, and there's a few others out there, can show a person if they retire at, let's say, the age of 60, what is it going to cost, and their wife, husband and wife, what is it going to cost them for healthcare on the street today? And then as each of them turns 65 and it adjusts down, but they have supplemental care on top of Medicare, how much is that cost going to be? Because sometimes people think, well, once I get to Medicare, I'm good, right? The government's got me taken care of, right? Wrong. You have to have supplemental care on top of Medicare, and that gets expensive. And the reason you want to separate out healthcare from essential living expenses is because healthcare has the 3rd highest inflation rate of any sector of the market today. So you don't want to lump it in with everything else. You need it growing and changing at different paces. And the best thing about our programs is if the government changes, if something happens with Medicare, our programs are going to adjust. So if it happens to kick our clients out of a target zone or a target market, like being on track, we're going to get an alert so that we can stay on top of
And
it.
what does that mean? You get an alert, and what do you do with that alert?
We contact them immediately, right? We use a lot of health analogies, right? Early detection in anything is key. Like if you have cancer, early detection is key. The earlier you pick it up, the better chance you have of beating it. Same thing in financial planning. If you're working with an advisor that built a financial plan just to get you in the door, throws it in a drawer, never looks at it, and you're 5, 10 years down the road, how do you know if you're on track to hit your goals? You don't.
Sure.
I would say it's appropriate to put the financial plan in front of your client a minimum of twice a year. I want clients to judge our success by how well we're achieving their goals. How well are we focused on what they've said is important to them? So having that is vitally important, and having it update, because life changes, right? You can get sick, you could lose a job. You need a financial plan that's also nimble. Couple other things just to talk about those differences.
Hmm.
Roth conversions, hot topic right now, and has been for a year or two. Of course, we've been doing Roth conversions for over a decade, and I can tell you tons of success stories. But many advisors, especially today, don't want to talk about Roth conversions because when you, the client, does a Roth conversion, then you have to pay taxes on it. Well, where do you get the dollars to pay the taxes? From your accounts with the advisor. Well, financial advisors get paid off the amount of assets they hold and manage. So a lot of times they don't want to give up assets
Sure.
that they're getting paid on for
So
you
they
to do
might give
Roth
you
conversion.
bad advice because it's not in their best interest.
Right.
Yeah,
And
it's not too cool.
I mean, I don't want to give away the secret sauce, but I could make an argument on why it's more beneficial to tell your clients to do a Roth conversion or suggest they do a Roth conversion, because not only is it the best thing for them, but if you're not, if other advisors aren't talking about it and you are,
Yeah, you're
well,
gonna retain the client too.
yeah, you're going to retain the client. Your client's happy. You're doing your
Besides not
job
go to hell by trying to take
well.
advantage of
Yeah.
your client.
And you're doing your job as a fiduciary, if
Sure.
of course you are a fiduciary. And we all know that that's the most thrown around word in our industry. And last but not least, estate and legacy planning. I've only seen one or two plans out there today that have the ability to do estate and legacy planning
Okay.
to where you can bring the future and the present. So I know you have Lucas and Natalia, your kids. I know what's important to you. So wouldn't that want to be in my financial plan?
Sure.
Wouldn't I want to help the
Sure.
client navigate the uncertainties given current laws and estate laws? Because we all know those might change too. There are things you can do today to get grandfathered in to certain estate and legacy planning strategies. Yeah,
Seems like this is a way to keep the advisor accountable too, right? Because if an advisor says, "Hey, you're on track to retire at this age with this type of income and this type of net worth when you're expected to die,"
mm,
a lot of times people just articulate these things, but they don't put it in writing. They don't document it. So to me, the financial plan too would be a good way to keep track. A year from now, is your advisor doing their job? 2 years from now, 5 years from now?
yeah,
I know there's probably a couple examples you could think of. I've been a part of some of these conversations with clients how we're talking about how their situation looks different than it did 2 3 years ago. Do you want
mhm.
to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Well, for starters, there's that old saying that if you fail to plan, then you plan to fail. So you need a plan that's nimble and can move as life changes. The unfortunate thing about our job is we do deal a lot with death. Like when we build a financial plan, we plan for worst case and hope for best case. But then even sometimes life can change.
Sure.
So, a recent story is 67-year-old client called up and has cancer. That changes a lot of things. The goal was for them to take Social Security at age 70, right? Now we want to get the clock started. Talking about their legacy, the thing with us is we've been able to look at the successes and failures of so many clients over 2 decades and implement knowledge and experience into financial plans so that we never lose track of our clients' goals and monitor that success with how well we're staying up on it.
Makes sense. Financial planning, we always talk about how it reduces anxieties and concerns. Can you talk a little bit about in your mind, how does having a well-crafted financial plan help somebody reduce their anxiety and concerns?
Anxieties and concerns when it comes to finances is huge, right? So many people, whether they're about to retire or maybe they're 30 years old and they're years away from retirement, or they're very close to retirement, or they're already in retirement. In finances, because what do you have in life? The important things: faith, family, health, finances, right? So
Mhm.
finances is up there with some of the most important things that we deal with in life,
Sure.
which comes with a ton of anxiety. Being a wealth manager isn't all about investing. A lot of times it's being a psychologist. We
Mm.
need to help calm people's nerves. Maybe they've worked for 40 years or 50 years and they're getting to retirement and they're nervous. They've been accumulating wealth for their entire life and now they're going to a distribution phase. That is a real fear. That's a real anxiety. You with me have seen people
Sure.
freak out, grown men freak out and panic because they don't know if what they have is right. They don't know if they're prepared right for retirement. They don't know what the future will hold. Well, that's the beauty of a financial plan. right? And that's the beauty about being a wealth manager that focuses on financial planning, because we're able to encompass all of their goals, all of the shortfalls, all of the pitfalls we may face along the way, and plug it into a worst case scenario. I love being able to stress test an already stress tested plan and look a client in the face and go, I don't care if 2008 happens again. If we tell you you're going to be okay, you're going to be okay, as long as you do your part. And what do I mean by that? Being a wealth manager isn't us telling a client what to do or them telling us what to do. It's a partnership. So we may have the perfect plan built out, but if they start going to the casino and dropping $20,000 a month and that wasn't part of the plan, they're also changing the game. So it becomes a partnership, and sometimes you have to have those come to Jesus moments where you get back on track.
Makes sense.
So
It seems like investment management nowadays is kind of table stakes, right? That's just manage somebody's money. That's 1980s. Nowadays, it's evolving more oftentimes to wealth management, and you've done a great job talking about the difference of investment manager, wealth manager.
thank
Um,
you.
so as we wrap up this episode, the things that I would take away is understanding the difference. Investment manager is somebody who's just investing my assets. Wealth manager is doing holistic planning, or should be doing, right? Some
Mhm.
people I know, as you do, they hold themselves out to be a wealth manager, but they
Yeah.
don't deliver. So the things I'm taking away from this conversation is knowing the difference of investment manager and wealth manager, building a financial plan, and truly understanding how it's created. You did an awesome
Mhm.
job talking about the inflation numbers, how some people underinflate things to make the
Mhm.
end result look better
Yeah.
by pretending clients are going to need less in retirement than they actually will. Any last things you wanna add to that as we conclude this episode?
Yeah, you do want to make sure that the plans are done accurately and not manipulated, and not changed. But that made, while you were talking, it made me think of something. Sometimes we have that question that says, Robert, Glenn, what separates you guys in GDS from another advisor up
So
the
what
streets?
separates us?
Well, it's kind of a trick question in a way, because we know advisors up the street that we used to work next to at a firm we won't name. Um, and they're good guys and ladies that are working hard for their clients. And if you were to fast forward 10 years, maybe our performance is the same. So when you talk about investing as table stakes, maybe our performance is the same. I would love to say that we outperformed them, but let's be fair and say 10 years down the road, it's the same. So what separates us from the everyday advisor? It's that right there. Have you ever had surgery?
Yeah, I've
Excuse me.
had shoulder surgery. Yeah.
Okay. Did you Google the doctor?
I did. I Googled him. He's referred from a friend of mine. Yes.
Okay. They have good reviews.
Yes.
So you liked them,
Yes.
highly ranked.
Yes.
If he called you in for an appointment and go, Glenn, perfect, your shoulder hurts. We're just going to cut you open. If he tried to do surgery on you without doing a CAT scan or an MRI, would you let him?
No, no way.
Okay. If you wouldn't let your doctor cut you open without doing an MRI or a CAT scan, using the technology at their fingertips to do their job better, why would you ever trust somebody with something as important as your financial future without doing a complete, comprehensive, holistic financial plan that encompasses everything? All the shortfalls that you may or may not be thinking of, all the intricate details of the market moving, everything you can possibly think of, put it in a plan and have the tough conversations today so that
Sure.
we don't get 5 or 10 years down the road and go, oops, I'm sorry, Glenn, we made a mistake. You're not going to be cut open. You're not going to have surgery without having an MRI. Don't work with a financial advisor that doesn't understand your goals and uses the tools at their fingertips to better serve their clients.
Sounds good. I like it. So everybody, if you don't have your MRI done, we encourage you to get that MRI, get that financial plan. We're happy to offer you a complimentary financial plan. Thank you everybody for listening.
Yeah.
All right, Robert, we have from the mailbag a couple questions for you.
All
Number
right.
one,
Goodness. All right. You're putting me on the spot here. All right. What we got?
from Elizabeth, is it okay to ask somebody if they're licensed and what fees they're going to be charged?
Absolutely, it's okay to ask somebody if they're licensed. In fact, it's a necessity, but don't just take their word for it. Do your homework and make sure they're licensed and have certain designations that you may be looking for. I know things that are important to me is making sure they're a fee only fiduciary, right? And that they're licensed and held accountable by SEC or in some cases FINRA. So do your homework. What was the second part of that?
Fees. Is it okay to ask
Of
the
course.
potential advisor or the existing advisor, hey, what am I paying in fees?
Of course. Do you not look at fees, what the price of something is when you go to the grocery store or if you're shopping for a vacation?
But
Yeah,
that fee is easier, right? If I go to grocery store, I leave and I have a receipt. I know what I'm paying. How
right.
on investments, it's hard to get a receipt sometimes, right?
So you bring up a valid point. Sometimes there's fees you see and don't see. And many wealth managers are investment managers. They'll tell you the fee they charge, but that might not be the only fee you're paying. So let's play this out. Let's say you're talking to a financial advisor and they tell you their management fee is 1% a year, right? But then you notice that the investments they're pitching you are mutual funds.
Sure.
Well, mutual funds have internal expense ratios that can be 0.5%, but some can be 1.5, 2. I've seen some north of 3, although it's rare, it happens. And inside that fee, inside that expense ratio, is a 12B1 fee. Well, that's a fee that's a kickback to the advisor.
Sure.
So now you're all in anywhere between 2 to 4 or 5%. And what you think the advisor's charging at 1%, they might be getting a kickback of another half or 75 bips
So
under
the
the
fee
table.
that you see on potentially on your statement, you're saying on a monthly or quarterly statement, that just might be a fraction of that fee you're actually paying.
Correct. If you're not dealing with a fee only fiduciary, I would definitely look at the prospectuses of every investment you're in to see what you're truly paying.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely. What else we got?
Um, what if I have a plan and I'm skeptical about it? Would GDS look at it and give me an opinion? This is from Wallace.
A financial plan?
Yes.
Absolutely. In fact, there is nothing more than I love than you just gave me the recipe, right? You just gave me what I can look at any financial plan after 20 years of doing this. I can look at any financial plan and just dissect the shortfalls of it to show you what you're not getting. We talked a lot about how financial plans are not created equal.
Hmm.
Let's look at another thing. Sometimes people will tell me, "Yeah, my advisor they did a plan and I'm 100% on track." I love being able to tell them, "Well, I hope we can say the same thing, but with the way we build plans, I don't want to give you that answer yet, but I'd love to look at it."
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, my pleasure.